All right, friends. Hello, hello. My name is Rachel Carmody, and I am going to show you guys a sewing tutorial on how to change your Irma. So this is an Irma from this 3/4 length sleeve to a short cap sleeve. So it makes them really great for summer. You can still wear them with your leggings in the winter, and then makes them makes them a really great piece to layer under your Sarahs and your other tops without adding too much bulk in the arm area. So grab your scissors and you're going to need a sewing machine for this one. And I'm going to show you how to make this really great transformation on this really versatile top. Okay guys, so the first thing you want to do is you want to turn your Irma inside out so that you can see that seam right there where the sleeve attaches to the arm. You're going to want to get yourself a pair of super sharp scissors so that you can cut really nice straight right along the seam. So there's a couple of ways to do this. So this is the seam we're going to cut along. Don't waste your time using a seam ripper. That's a lot of stitching to take out. That's not really necessary. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut inside my sleeve because I need to open it up anyway. And then I'm going to cut here along on the inside of this seam to cut my sleeves completely off. So let me see if I can stay on camera and show you guys this. So we're going to cut up the sleeve because I'm going to use this sleeve to make a binding for the edges. So cut up the sleeve. Okay, and then right here along this seam, I'm going to cut up that. So we're going to cut off the seam of the sleeve completely. Okay, just so you guys can see what that looks like. So I'm going to cut off both sleeves right along this sleeve. All right, so I have cut off both my sleeves. So if you look at my Irma, it is now missing both sleeves. Okay, so here you go, guys. So if you are not super handy with a sewing machine at this point, there's a couple of things you could do to finish this. You could get some hemming tape and then kind of put just a little bit of hemming tape here on the edges, fold it over, and then use the iron to finish the edges. You're gonna definitely want to finish the edges at some point or in some fashion because when you've cut that sleeve off, you've cut into this stitching here and then up at the top. So these seams are going to eventually start to unravel. The nice thing about most of the Irmas, they're like a polyester jersey, so the fabric itself is actually not going to really do that much fraying. What's going to happen as you wash it, it's actually going to start to curl under. So like I said, if you're not super handy with the sewing machine, you guys can get some hemming tape, which you can just buy at Walmart or a craft store, and you can, like I said, you put it on and then you fold it over and then you iron it just so that it gives it that finished edge. Because of the type of fabric this is, it's a polyester knit, it is going to roll as you wash. So I am going to finish this sleeve. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make some bias tape. And I'm going to use my sleeve to do that. So the thing I'm actually trying to do is achieve a look similar to what's here on the collar. Using the bias tape. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that part next. Okay guys, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some bias tape to finish the edges of my new cap sleeve Irma. So the first thing I did is I actually have some like quilting supplies. So I've got a cutting mat, this cutting ruler, and then I've also got a rotary cutter. This just makes cutting in a straight line really simple, really easy. These are tools that are not completely necessary. So the first thing I did was I actually did leave my seam on my sleeve, the bottom cuff, and that just helps me get it lined up nice and straight. So that I'm actually going to cut that off first. Okay, so now that I've cut that off, I've got a nice unfinished edge here. And I am going to cut this 1.5 inches wide. So I did this with another top prior to making this tutorial. And I did a 1 inch, and a 1 inch was enough. It just was a little more challenging to pin. So I decided to go with a 1.5 inch for this one. So you're going to need 2 strips, 2 full strips to make your bias tape for one sleeve. So you will use most of this material up. So you're not really wasting any of it. All right. So there are my 2 pieces. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the seam. So there is some seam here left from the sleeve. So I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to attach these 2 pieces together. It's not going to make a huge difference because this is really just a binding for the edge of your sleeve. So if you guys look up on Pinterest or on YouTube, you can look up a tutorial on how to make bias tape. If this is a little bit confusing, but it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. So I cut those seams off. Now I'm going to sew my bias tape together, and then I'm going to iron it up. All right, so just so you guys can see, this is where I just stitched my 2 pieces together. I trimmed off the excess, okay? So then the next thing I did was I just folded it in half and then press and steam a really good crease into your material. So you're gonna need that crease here in just a second. So then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take the top half and I'm gonna fold it in to the crease, and then I'm gonna fold it, then I'm gonna press it again. So I'm gonna end up with 2 creases, 1/2. So the top half is gonna be creased in the middle, and then the whole thing is gonna be creased down the center, okay? So I don't have a tripod over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and press pause and then do this, and then I'll come back and show you. All right, guys, so this is what this should look like at this point in time. So you should have a crease down the center, and then you should have a crease along the center of the top half. You don't really need a crease in the bottom like regular bias tape. You can just use your presser foot when you go to sew this on, and just sew it on at that seam allowance of the 1/2 inch. But you can fold it over if that makes you feel better about life, to make that real and true bias tape. If you've never done this before, this is, I try to make sure that I'm not doing more work than I really need to. So what's going to happen is we're going to sew this piece right here along this side onto our armhole, and then we're going to fold this crease over the top of the right side, and then we're going to sew along here to finish the edge. You're going to see how cool this looks, and it mimics, like I said, it mimics that finish on the collar, so you get a completely sewn finished look. Again, you guys could just cut off your sleeves and find some way to bind those seams so that they don't unravel. Because this material, again, is not going to unravel. It's just going to roll as you wash it and wear it. However, it will kind of decrease the life of your garment looking nice. Okay, guys, so next step is to take your pressed bias tape, and you're going to pin it to the inside of your sleeve. So you're going to be taking the right side of your bias tape and pinning it to the wrong side of your sleeve. And we're gonna sew these together. Be careful, my sewing machine doesn't like when you sew over the pins. You can use a zigzag stitch if you want more stretch. By the time you're done with this, you're gonna put 3 rows of stitching in it anyway. So I just did a straight stitch. I don't feel like it's too tight on my arms at all. You'll see what it looks like when I'm done. Just so kind of just think about it. Like you don't really need to use that stretch stitch on this because you'll have plenty of rows of stitching and it's not going to be super tight. You want to make sure that you have thread that matches the thread that's already on your Irma. So like my Irma is finished with dark gray thread, so I've grabbed some dark gray thread and threaded that into my machine. Mine is not an exact match, but you know, it's for myself, so that's okay, no big deal. All right. So I'm going to get this sewn on and then show you guys what to do next. Okay guys, so once you've attached this, you can like flip it up and see kind of what's going to happen here. So you should have your pressed edge already over and they should almost completely line up. So when I fold up towards my seam, from my seam up, see how you can barely see any material, which is exactly how you want this to look. This came out so much better than my first round. So what you're gonna do here is you're just gonna leave it folded in half. You can cut out this bulk if you want to. My bias tape kind of completely covers it, so I'm not gonna cut it out. People who are, you might wanna cut the bulk out. I mean, you can, you don't have to. And then you're gonna fold this over the top this way so your seam looks nice. And then you're gonna pin it here. So now this is the outside of your sleeve. Okay, so that's the outside edge. And then you're gonna just pin it all the way around. Then you're gonna put 2 rows of stitching on here. So you're gonna put a row right along the edge and then a row about 1/4 of an inch below it. You can kind of eyeball it how you want. I'm just going to use my presser foot to measure. It's actually about 1/8. So this is what the collar looks like. So see how it's got a top stitch right along the edge and then 1 row of stitching about 1/8 of an inch away from it. So that is the look we're trying to achieve. Again, my thread's a little bit lighter than this original Irma's thread, so you're going to be able to see my stitching a little bit better, which is great for this video. Okay guys, so here are your 2 rows. So there's the row right along the edge, and then there was the row right next to it. So now all that's left to do is try it on. Okay guys, so here it is all finished up. So you can see that the way the Irma is already cut, that it's cut to go below your shoulders already. So there it is, all done. So now it's more of a dolman top versus that Irma long 3/4 sleeve, but you still get that great length, and this will be perfect for summer. All right guys, hope you enjoyed. If you have questions, feel free to email me, LuLaRoe, Rachel Carmody, at gmail.com. Thanks so much.